What's good, everybody? In this video I'm going to show you how SOUTHSIDE makes hard beats for Drake, similar to his song Daylight on For All the Dogs. Per usual, I'm going to show you how to make the beat from scratch. And with all that said, let's jump right into the beat.
Roll up,
As you can tell from the project file, this beat is actually super simple. I started a tempo at 145 beats per minute. Usually these type of beats sit between 140 and 160. So for my first melody sound, I went to Analog Lab and got this lo-fi key preset. And I went up to the really high octaves and I put in this triplet pattern. So if I switch my snapping to 1/3 beat, I'm placing a note on every grid line. I started this melody using D sharp minor, and it's only using 4 different notes in that scale. So D sharp, F, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp, or the first 5 notes in the scale. I started the pattern by putting down a note on A sharp, then going to D, F, then copying these 2 over, and then putting that on F sharp. And I took all of this, copied it over, and then moved this A sharp up 1 octave. I just copied that 1 measure over for the rest of it, and then on the first and the third measures, I moved this A sharp down to G sharp. So without any effects, this is what it sounds like. For effects, I put on some Portal on the Karma preset from Wavescrape 1.5. Then I added an effect rack, and I added Crystallizer and Microshift and turned the mix pretty low on both of those. So those are some pretty subtle changes. I just wanted to add that to make it a little bit more spacey and change the tone a little bit. So once I had that, I laid down 8 measures of it, and then I selected the first 10 measures. Then I went back to the mixer rack, armed the mixer track here, and then hit Alt R, went to song selection and hit start to render it out as an audio clip. Once I had my rendered audio clip, I double clicked on it, set the mode to stretch and pitched it down by 300 cents, and then I reversed it. After I reversed it, I chopped off the first 2 measures and then used this 8 measure loop for the rest of the beat. And I routed that audio clip to its own mixer track where I added some halftime. So after that first melody, I opened up Serum and I got this Bell preset from my upcoming multi-kit, and I laid down this super simple counter melody in C minor. And the notes are pretty much the same. The only difference is for the second half of it, I just moved these notes up an octave. So that's pretty much the foundation for all the melodics for this beat. The only variation that I really have in the melodics is copying this first stem over down here and then clicking on the top left and hitting make unique. All these settings are the same. I changed the pitch range to 12 and turned the knob all the way left. So in other words, I just pitched it down 1 octave. So overall, the melodics are super simple for this beat. Pretty much majority, if not all of the bounces from the drums. So going into the drum sounds, all of these drums are going to be in my upcoming multi-kit, which I'm planning to have out in the next few weeks. The first couple sounds I put down were a combo clap and a snare. And these first couple patterns are super simple. The combo clap is just on the 3rd beat of every measure, so it's like a typical trap beat. And the snare is pretty much the same thing. I just have it hitting on these off beats. Next, I moved on to my hi-hats, and I kept these relatively simple. As you can see, it's pretty much just a 2-step pattern with a few rolls thrown in here and there. All of these rolls are using the 1/3 step snap to grid. I just took the paintbrush tool and painted all of these rolls in. And on pretty much all the rolls, you can see on the bottom that all the velocities are slightly altered. For my next couple drum sounds, I put down a couple open hats. So my first open hat sits on the 2nd beat on the 1st and 5th measures. The other one pretty much plays as a counter to the first one. So all the drum sounds we got so far sound something like this. Now moving on to the final sound of the beat, which is the 808. This is probably the most complex pattern out of everything, which isn't really saying a lot because overall the beat's super simple. So similar to most 808 patterns, this pretty much sits around the root note of the scale. The key of the beat right now is sitting at C minor, so majority of the 808 pattern is sitting on C. The only variations this has compared to just like a basic 808 pattern is that I just have these little rolls here in the 4th, 6th, and 8th measures, and then I have an octave C roll here, and then I have G sharp moving down to G. And this part of the 808 pattern creates a bit of a stutter effect, which is kind of cool. But the whole 808 pattern by itself sounds something like this. And now for the simplified 808 pattern, it's pretty much just using those same C notes. The only difference is that a couple of these might be a little bit rearranged. And then I took all those rolls out and just left this right here. And also when I previewed the beat, you probably noticed this little tape start here. So the way that I made that is I went to my master track, and after all my mastering effects, I opened up this plugin called Deep Loop Tape Stop. I left the D click at 64. I put the trigger below 0.5 and I have my slowdown set to 0.03. Then what I did is I right clicked on the trigger knob and then hit create automation clip, and it pulled this clip into the playlist right here. And so when I hit play on the beat, it created this tape stop. I selected the first 4 measures of the beat. I went back to the master track, and similar to how I rendered out the audio clip earlier, I rendered out the whole beat with all the effects. So I hit Alt R and hit start to render it out. Once I had my clip, I dragged it into the playlist, and then I hit reverse and I trimmed the end off and lined it up with the beginning of the beat. And I also moved this a little bit to the right just so it syncs up better when the 808 hits. And for my final touches on this beat, I just threw down my tag, and on the master, before all my mastering effects, I put on some sound shifter and I put it up by 1 semitone and pitched that down by 20 cents. Or in other words, I pitched it up by 80 cents. So the final key of this beat is 20 cents below C sharp minor. Alright, thank you for watching and making it all the way to the end of the video. I truly appreciate every single one of y'all tapping in. If you really enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. Like I said, multi-kit on the way. I got a lot more content on the way. And again, I really appreciate every single one of y'all, so thank you. And that's gonna wrap it up for this one, so I'll see y'all in the next one.